Have you ever observed how certain people seem to influence everything around them without saying a single word? They don't raise their voices. They don't plead. They simply step back. And somehow the entire atmosphere shifts. People become uncertain. They seek answers. They chase. They feel the difference. Now imagine if you acted the same way. If you stopped giving instant reactions, if you embraced silence instead of reacting impulsively, if you chose to walk away instead of exploding, what do you think would change? That's the key. When you're no longer constantly available, emotionally, physically, mentally, the world starts to panic. Because people have grown used to controlling you through your reactions, your habits, your predictability. But the moment you choose to step back, the rules change. And those who thought they had you figured out suddenly realize they never truly knew you at all. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." So reflect on this. When you become distant, who starts to panic? Who becomes angry? Who tries to provoke you just to get a response? Their behavior speaks more about them than it ever did about you. And most of all, it shows just how much control others still hold over you without you even noticing. You keep giving yourself away to keep things peaceful, to avoid being left behind, even by people who were never really there for you. And with every forced smile, every quick reply, every emotional reaction, you're handing away pieces of your power. And in the end, what remains? Exhaustion, irritation, a sense of emptiness you can't explain. But here's the truth. You're giving too much of yourself to people who don't even deserve a moment of your silence. This message isn't about shutting yourself off from the world. It's about finally choosing yourself. It's about discovering what Jung described as individuation. The journey toward becoming whole, honest, and truly yourself. And it starts with realizing that silence can be louder than endless arguments. That stepping away, when done with awareness, not fear, is a true act of strength. So let me ask you, how much longer will you allow others to control your emotions? How much longer will you respond like a puppet every time someone pokes your wounds? Maybe now is the time to cut those strings, to pull back, to become something others can't define. Because the moment you stop being constantly available, everything shifts. You've been taught to always be present, to reply quickly, to say yes even when your heart says no. Since childhood, you've been led to believe your value lies in your availability to others. But here's something no one may have told you clearly before. Being too available isn't kindness. It's a cage. And as long as you believe you must always be reachable, emotionally, mentally, physically, you'll continue to be used, drained, and forgotten the moment you're no longer needed. Why? Because when you're predictable, you become a tool. And tools are only picked up when they serve a purpose. People start treating you like a button they can push whenever they want comfort, validation, or attention, and then they put you away. And you don't even notice because you're stuck in the false belief that being there for everyone will make someone truly be there for you. But that's not how it works. Carl Jung spoke about the persona, the mask we wear so others will accept, admire, and love us. And it's that same mask that keeps you constantly available. You say it's fine when you're actually hurting. You reply to messages when your energy is gone. You explain, defend, justify yourself as if the world is owed an explanation. But here's the reality. The more you focus on being present in other people's lives, the more you vanish from your own. Always being available is a quiet form of self-neglect. It's a hidden way of seeking approval, avoiding rejection, and trying to shape how others see you. But this kind of control comes with a heavy cost. The cost of being always available is your peace. Your energy is not unlimited, it's limited. People who expect you to be available all the time don't actually want you. They want what you give them: validation, company, distraction, and emotional comfort. But when you set boundaries and stop reacting, they get upset, accuse you of being strange. It's not because you've changed, it's because you stopped being useful to them. The more available you are, the less they value you. When something is always there, it becomes worthless. People only respect what they have to earn. So, stop and ask yourself, who really deserves your time and energy? Who deserves your attention, your presence, your listening? Or, more importantly, who deserves your absence? But before answering that, let's consider why we react so much. Why do we give in so easily? Why do we feel the need to justify or please? This is connected to what Carl Jung called psychic energy. Your energy is all you have, and if you don't protect it, someone else will use it against you. If you're following along, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. Carl Jung didn't see the mind as just an automatic machine that reacts to everything. He thought of it like an energy system where every thought, emotion, and action uses up part of that energy. The real question is, are you in control of your energy, or is the world deciding where it goes? Every time you react without thinking, you're wasting your psychic energy. When you argue about something that doesn't matter, defend yourself when it's unnecessary, or try to please people who don't value you, you're draining yourself for no reason. Jung said, "What you resist persists." The more you react, the more you get stuck in it. People who are emotionally drained aren't weak. They've just been misdirecting their energy. And when you're exhausted, you become vulnerable, and that's when you're easy to manipulate. Manipulative people can sense this. They know you're reactive, that you're always trying to fix things, and they take advantage of it. Jung believed that a healthy mind is one that knows how to protect its energy. Protecting your energy means knowing when to say no, not feeling guilty for staying silent, and taking time to observe before acting. True power doesn't come from reacting, it comes from choosing when and how to act, which you can only do if you understand your own impulses. Think about how many times you've lost sleep over a conversation that wasn't even resolved. How many times have you thought about what you should have said or tried to figure out why someone treated you badly? That's energy being wasted. You're holding on to things that should have been let go and continuing patterns that only exist because you keep reacting. Your psychic energy is like a protective force field. When you guard it well, you create a strong presence. You enter a room and command respect without saying a word. But when you let it slip away, you become invisible, fragile, and reactive. The world has no mercy on those who give in easily. So, start paying attention to what triggers you. What makes you lose your center? Those are the points where your energy leaks, and that's where you need to focus. It's not about being cold or indifferent. It's about being selective and taking control of yourself. And here's one of Jung's greatest insights. When you conserve your energy, you break free from the expectations and projections that others put on you. And that bothers people because now we're talking about silent manipulation. In this next part, we'll talk about how some people take advantage of your energy and why becoming less available stops their manipulation. Get ready to realize who has been draining you without you even knowing it. You might think you're in control, that you're making decisions on your own, but the reality is different. Most of your emotional reactions are automatic. And those who understand this can manipulate you easily. Manipulative people don't need to shout or threaten you. They just press your buttons and you react every time. Carl Jung called this projection, a psychological trick where people put their own issues onto you. There's another part of this that many people don't see. While others project their issues onto you, you also end up holding onto those projections. The more emotionally available you are, the more you become a blank canvas for these projections. Think about that friend who only calls when they're in trouble, the partner who always needs rescuing, or the person who praises you but only while you're useful to them. This isn't by accident. They're not seeing the real you. They're relating to the idea of you, to the role you play. And why do you keep playing along? Because you're afraid of disappointing them, of not being loved or being left alone. The most powerful manipulation doesn't come from yelling. It comes from the quiet pressure of guilt. When you feel like you owe someone something, when you believe you must be available, help, or understand them, even if it hurts you inside, the manipulator doesn't need to control you directly. They just need you to keep reacting the same way. But when you stop reacting, the game is over. When you start saying no, staying silent, or withdrawing instead of explaining yourself, their projections fall apart. The mask they put on you slips. This makes them uncomfortable because now they don't know who you are anymore. And even worse, they're forced to face themselves. Not everyone is ready for that. Your unavailability is a threat because it makes others confront their own emptiness. The silence you give forces them to hear the inner noise they want to avoid. And then comes the criticism, the emotional drama, not because you're wrong, but because you stopped being their convenient mirror. Jung said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." When you step back, when you stop feeding the cycle, others' true selves start to show. And for those who've always used you to escape their own issues, this is unbearable. But what about you? Are you ready to handle the discomfort of being misunderstood, rejected, or even attacked for protecting yourself? Can you handle the silence that follows the break? Because in that silence, a new kind of power emerges. And that's what we'll talk about next. You'll see why silence can be the most powerful tool in the human mind and how it changes the way you interact with the world. The modern world is full of noise. Everyone wants to be heard, to respond quickly, to win pointless arguments, even if it costs them their peace. But there's a power that few understand and even fewer master. The power of silence. Not the silence of weakness, but a conscious, strategic silence. A silence that's not absence, but a stronger presence. Jung saw silence not as a void, but as fertile ground for personal transformation. When you stop reacting, you start observing. And by observing, you see patterns that you missed before. Emotional patterns, manipulation games, cycles of self-sabotage. Silence brings clarity. And clarity is dangerous to those who want to control you. Have you noticed how some people get anxious when you don't respond? When you don't explain yourself, when you just disappear? It's not because they miss you. When you go quiet, you take away other people's ability to control the story. As long as you're talking, they feel like they still have power over you. But silence flips the script. And that scares people who rely on your reactions. Real silence isn't just being quiet, it's knowing how to protect your own energy. It's choosing not to get dragged into someone else's emotional storm. It's the decision to step back instead of wasting your energy on pointless fights. Carl Jung said that to truly become yourself, you need distance, and silence helps you hear your own voice without outside noise. But make no mistake, silence comes at a cost. You'll lose people who only valued you for what you did for them. Some won't understand you anymore because they never saw the real you, only the version that served them. You might seem cold or distant, but that's just how they react when they can't use you. And here's the truth: the more you grow, the less you talk. You start to see that every word is energy, and not everyone deserves that energy. Sometimes silence isn't stepping backy, it's standing tall. It's a quiet kind of strength that doesn't need to prove anything. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to face their own thoughts. That discomfort reveals more about them than any argument ever could. You don't have to explain why you're gone, your absence speaks for itself. And those who get upset about it are often the ones who relied on your chaos to keep their own control. But the most powerful silence isn't the one that shakes others, it's the one that heals you. It helps you reconnect with who you really are without needing anyone else's approval. In that quiet space, you find your strength and start getting your energy back. And that's what we'll dive into next. Because it's not just about turning down the outside noise, you also need to use your energy wisely. Know where to give it, where to hold it, and where to never waste it again. You have to become picky with your own soul. If you're learning to protect your energy and set boundaries, my book Beyond the Shadow can help. It breaks down Jung's key ideas and shows you how to guard your energy, say no, and rediscover your true self. Links in the pinned comment. But remember, knowing all of this doesn't help if you keep saying yes when you mean no. If you still answer messages that drain you or stay in relationships just because it's a habit, then nothing changes. Awareness without action is just another kind of lie to yourself. Real change starts when you choose to be selective with people, with your time, with your peace. This takes emotional discipline. Being unavailable doesn't mean being cold. It means you no longer let everyone have unlimited access to you. It means you're taking back control of your energy, your time, and your calm. And it starts with little steps, waiting before replying, walking away from arguments, turning off your phone without feeling guilty, saying not today, saying I'm not interested, saying I won't get involved. And here's the key. You don't need to justify your silence. You don't need to explain why you're unavailable. You owe no one an explanation, only yourself. And for some, that's unforgivable. Because when you stop explaining, you take away their power to keep you locked in the role of always being the helpful, understanding one. Carl Jung believed that on the path to becoming your true self, you have to go through a phase of being alone. But it's not a sad kind of loneliness, it's a meaningful one. It's a time when you step away from the noise of the world and start to hear your own voice clearly again. You stop defining yourself by what others think and instead start building your identity from the inside out. Want a good way to measure your personal growth? Watch who pulls away when you start to become more quiet and private. Notice who tries to trigger you when you no longer react the same way. Pay attention to who complains that you've changed once you begin to set boundaries. These aren't signs of you doing something wrong, they're signs that you're breaking free. Being emotionally unavailable feels strange at first. You might feel guilty. You might think you're being selfish. People might say you've become cold or distant, but that's normal. You've been taught all your life to put others first. So, of course, choosing yourself now feels uncomfortable. Not just for you, but for those who were used to the old version of you. Saying no to the world is often the first real yes you give to yourself. Walking away from toxic places means you're finally valuing your peace over fake connections. And when you stop constantly explaining yourself, people start to respect you more, even if it's just a few. But not everyone will like this change because your distance shines a light on their own emotional issues. That's when the break happens. And with that break comes pain. You might feel lonely or like you're losing something. But in truth, you're finally letting go of what was holding you back. So, what comes next? What happens after you've stepped away? What grows from the silence? That's what we'll explore in the final part, how real transformation begins when you're brave enough to be misunderstood, to be alone, and to stand strong on your own. It's time to understand why being alone, truly alone, is the path to real freedom. When you stop being available to everyone all the time, something shifts. First comes silence. It can feel loud inside, like doubt and fear are shouting. You might ask yourself if you did the right thing, but slowly, that silence starts to heal you. Then comes solitude. But this isn't the kind that feels empty. It's the kind where you feel fully present with yourself. The kind of solitude where you stop betraying who you are just to keep others happy. In the space where there was once noise and confusion, now there's clarity. Where there was anxiety, now there's calm. Where you used to feel needy, now there's strength, the strength of someone who's whole on their own. Jung said that to truly become yourself, you need to step away from the crowd, stop playing roles, and walk your own path for a while. That's exactly what you're doing when you choose to be unavailable. You're not running away from the world, you're coming home to yourself. You stop reacting to everything around you and start building your own reality from the inside. The people who are upset by your silence weren't really connected to you. They were connected to the version of you that served their needs. And now that you're no longer playing that role, they don't know what to do. But that's actually freeing. Yes, you may lose people, but you'll find yourself. You may walk away from certain places, but you'll reconnect with your soul. You may feel misunderstood, but you'll finally start earning real respect. When you're no longer available for just anything, you become special. People start to see your worth. You're no longer easy to reach, and that makes you unforgettable. And don't be mistaken, this is a fresh start. A new chapter in life where you no longer settle for emotional scraps, for games, or for fake love pretending to be real. From now on, you only welcome what brings peace, honesty, and wholeness into your life. And if you've made it this far, it means part of you is already prepared for this journey. Deep down, you already understand that being loved isn't enough if you have to give up who you are. Real self-love begins the moment you choose yourself, even if that means spending some time alone. So, tell me in the comments, are you ready to be misunderstood, pushed away, or even disliked in order to protect your inner freedom? Are you brave enough to pay the price of being your true self? If this message connected with you, if it made sense, write in the comments, I choose my peace. Let's see how many of us are ready to take this step. And don't forget, watch the next video. It matters more than you think. See you there.